It's the Winning Ticket Podcast, where having fun is minus 1,000. With your hosts, Dean Contrino, Joe Hoffman, Zach Nasiolo, and Johnny Della Luna.
What up, Winning Ticket faithful? Thanks for choosing us today. There's plenty of money-making pods out there, but none that are more consistent, funny, charming, rich, of course, and as handsome as this group, which we all know. A bit of a new topic here today. As you know, we're all sports gambling and making money on a market wherever we can find an edge here. So instead of breaking down some NFL, MLB, NBA odds, whatever it is, we're taking a look at the sports card investment market. So I've been into this for a little while now, certainly not as long as my guest. So without further ado, allow me to introduce my good buddy and cohort, Tyler from Card Kings Investments. Tyler, what's going on, dude? Tell the people who you are, why people should trust your sports card knowledge.
Thanks, Joe. Yep, so this is Tyler here from Card Kings Investments. We are a private Discord server that pretty much gives all of the good investment advice for cards to people that just want to either build a personal collection or a PC, or whether they want to flip and make some profit. So pretty much who I am is I'm a guy that from the very beginning, I've always loved the hustle. I've always loved to make money, and I've always loved sports. So I brought those three things together at a very young age. And started pretty much buying sports cards low and selling high. Now, how I got into that was I noticed that growing up, especially throughout high school, when I would talk sports with people, people would always say, like, I've been right on the past guys that I thought were going to break out. Do you know what I mean, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. Totally.
So all these people like that I would say that they're going to break out, just to give an example. Nobody really thought Chad Johnson was going to be good. When he was coming out, I said, that guy's going to be good. Nobody thought Devin Hester was really going to be good. He's probably the most prolific return man of all time. The list just goes on and on. So pretty much that's how I got into it. And then I learned as the years have gone on, how much the market for sports cards is growing and how you can really invest into them. So some of my bigger wins, I would say, some of my bigger investments, a really recent one that some people might like. Back 2-3 years ago, I was buying up Colin Kaepernick. People didn't, they were just throwing them away. They were burning them and stuff like that. I said, I'll give you $5 for that BGS 10. BGS is a grading company, by the way. I'll give you $5 for that BGS 10 autograph from, him coming out of college when he went to Nevada. And that card I just checked today is selling for over $500.
Jeez, that's awesome.
Like you could turn, 5 into 500 just holding a couple years. The one thing that I've kind of learned is that when people are running away from something, you should probably be running toward it. Let's see, in 2018, people thought Lamar Jackson was going to be a bust. They said he couldn't play quarterback. I invested a lot into him, and I have gotten some really nice returns off of that. Most of it is still my PC. I still think that we're going to get a ring out of him and stuff like that. So pretty much what people need to be looking for the dip, right? So, it's literally just like stocks. You're just trying to buy on the dip, be comfortable holding 2, 3, 4 months, even 4 years, but you are going to get that return out of it. And that's, as long as you know what you're doing. I don't expect anybody just to jump into this head on because there's a lot of things that could go wrong there.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, if I can jump in real quick, I want to address a concern that I had before I actually got into this. And I definitely want to get to more of your big wins because I think that's probably the coolest piece of info there. And that's what people are going to love to hear. Players that you were high on and
right.
They might have been high on, and then they see, oh, wow, I could have made this much. That's going to really ring true with a lot of people. But first, before we get back to that, I guess a question that I asked myself was, can money actually be made here? Do you have maybe, if not any stats on what the market was last year at this time or anything like that, but can you give me kind of like a market sentiment? Because I thought physical cards would be on the way out. I thought anything physical was kind of lame. And it seems like this market is thriving and growing even during the coronavirus times that we're living in now. It seems like this is just growing and growing. And I thought that sports, the only way to make money off sports was fantasy football, DFS, and, just regular sports gambling. So can you give any background on where we've come from to where we're at now?
Sure. So, I mean, I think that if you look back at the 80s and 90s, that's kind of what we call the junk era, right? That's when cards were massively produced. I mean, when you think back to one of the most iconic cards ever, which would be the 89 Upper Deck Griffey rookie, they were just being mass printed, right? And so the people that were printing these cards realized that they were, in essence, printing money. So you had card companies where these were being printed, and 50 of them were going out in employees' pockets every night, which led to a flooding of cards that we don't see now, luckily. So pretty much that junk era, you've got all these guys that were collecting in the 80s and 90s wondering why their collection isn't worth 100, 200K, and it's simply because of the print runs of those cards. So where we've kind of gone from, if we look at the 80s and 90s to now, is it's much more limited. So there's not a Zion Prism base in every pack. There's not a Ja rated rookie in every pack. And these are some of the cards that, just the base version, not the numbered, not the variation, not the autograph, not, the 1 of 1 or the out of 5 or the out of 10. I mean, you've got base Zion Williamson cards out of the Prism set going for $200, and they came out of a $3 pack or a $4 pack.
Yeah, of course.
So that's kind of more of the risk factor. How I think this ties into what you guys are doing with the the DFS and the sports picks is you're investing, and if you would call it, you're betting that the player that you like is going to break out, or that player is going to do well. And that's where I think that there's this perfect mesh point between our groups, because as anyone that's a fan of sports, you've got some guys probably in your mind right now that you're thinking, this guy's going to break out this year. You should be buying cards of him. You've got this guy that's in college that you've been following, and he's getting ready to get drafted next year, and you think he's going to be that next Drew Brees, or he's going to be that next Tom Brady. You should buy cards of him, because you're going to buy these cards for $5, and then if he breaks out like you project that he is, well, that card's going to go up to 60, then it's going to go up to 80, then it's going to go up to 120. You might grade it with PSA or BGS, and it shoots up to 250. So those are some of the things that, I think your listeners will really like to hear, and they will really like to appreciate, is that you can literally transition the sports card investment game into the betting game, into the DFS game, so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's so like intertwined, if that's even a word. It's so
Yes.
Think about it like this, like, Giannis and LeBron, those are probably the two biggest guys on the NBA side that I have. Definitely Giannis for sure. It's kind of like you're just placing a bet that says, in the next 5 to 10 years, I think Giannis is going to A, become the face of the NBA, B, probably going to get another MVP or two, C, I think he's going to win a ring or two, blah, blah, blah. And you get all these things. And then you have in the market itself, the sports card market itself, when that's growing, there's so many factors coming together at once. It's hard to not be interested. It's hard to not, you can take, I put it this way. I actually ran the numbers, because the winning group and the winning ticket, the winning group is our Slack name, where we have all the experts that provide all those premium picks, our official plays. We know the sports itself. So at that point, it was just finding someone like you to talk to, who actually knows the card industry, right? So I ran the numbers here. It would be plus 320 to place a bet that says Bucks are going to face the Lakers in the finals. That's it. Just not the winner. Just, I think that the Bucks are going to make the finals and the Lakers are going to make the finals, and they're going to face off, right? So at plus 320, I would have to put down $100 to win $320. So if I'm risking 100 to win 320, I would need my investment. If I was to get, let's say, a bunch of Giannis and a bunch of LeBrons, I need that investment to go more than 3x if both of these teams make the finals. Do you follow what I'm saying right here? Because
yes,
if the Bucks make the finals and the Lakers make the finals, your cards are going to shoot up. So I weighed the options here. Is putting $100 on Bucks versus Lakers to win 320 a better investment, or buying two Giannis, numbered parallels for $50 each, as my $100 investment? Which one is going to be a better upside? Which one is going to have a lower downside? And just kind of weigh it from there. And I think that answers itself. I think that's pretty easy. Why would you not want to place the bet on Giannis, where the sky is not only the limit for this year, the sky is the limit for his career and beyond.
Correct.
And I'm risking $100 here to win 320, or I'm risking $100 here on the card side with no downside and practically $1,000 upside. You know, like what?
Correct.
What's your take on that? What NBA bets are? Sorry, and I didn't mean to cut you off because I think you're going to say something, but like, kind of go in from there. What's your NBA style like when the playoffs come back?
Okay, so yeah, right now, for people that are going to be listening to this, this is like the perfect time if you want to buy and get in, because there is no NBA. We've seen a pretty big price drop in some of the Zion Prisms, some of the Zion Optics, some of the Ja Prisms, some of the Ja Optics. And the only reason that the prices dropped is because they're not playing, right? So you've got really nice cards that come out, the season stops, and then the prices go down 10 to 15%. Right now, we know for a fact that either Zion or Ja is going to make the playoffs. Once they make the playoffs, that number is going to skyrocket. It's probably going to go up 30%. Right.
Yep.
Now, with the example that you gave with Giannis, when you place a bet saying that, let's just say that the Bucks are going to beat the Lakers in the finals, for example, you're locked into that. Giannis could have off nights, or his supporting cast could have off nights. But if you invest in Giannis, and even if the Bucks lose and Giannis averages, let's say 35 during that series, the prices are going up. So you're pretty much just betting on the player that you like, that they're going to continue to have a great career. And I think that's why it's so interesting, because when you look at a lot of these guys that didn't have a good supporting cast, the rings might not show, but the stats do. And as long as the stats show, they're always going to be collectible.
Absolutely. And I'm not sure if you follow Giannis on Instagram or anything. I don't have a TikTok, but apparently he put up a video on TikTok of him showing off his own personal card collection of himself.
Yeah, so this is super
funny. So funny.
This is super funny. So actually, the cards that Giannis put up are cards that Panini is missing from these sets. So like these, like he had a 1/1 National Treasures autographed logo man, which is probably, I would say, a $60,000-$70,000 card.
It's incredible. That's amazing.
I mean, it really is incredible. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want people to get confused. National Treasures is a $2,000 product, and obviously the $70,000 card is a 1/1, so there's only one of them out there. I don't want people thinking you can just buy,
yeah.
$5 box of cards and pull a $70,000 card out. Most likely it doesn't work that way. But I did find it funny because, Panini's missing these sets. So somebody's going to open their box of National Treasures and they're going to have what's called a redemption. And that redemption is going to say Giannis. It's going to say 1/1 logo man. But they're never going to be able to redeem that card because Giannis has decided to keep it. And, I would just love to see Panini's executives call Giannis and say, you have to send those cards back. I think that would be the funniest conversation.
It really would. And it's kind of funny, like the younger generation who likes, the shoes and the sneakers and like Travis Scott and all these young whippersnappers out there, they kind of like it's almost like it's modern day art. And I think I'm not a big Gary Vee guy. I think we've talked about this in the past. He's very intelligent. I'm not the biggest fan of his, but what he says is completely true. Instead of me and you buying a Mona Lisa replica for $3,000 when we're old and have kids and we want to show it off in our living room or something like that, we're going to buy a LeBron card for $5,000. And we're going to go, wow, check this out. And we're going to bring people down into our man cave and we're going to hang with our kids and we're going to show it off like that. You didn't have that too much in the dead card era. And as we go further, that's going to be another wave of investment from here. Like we still have a leg up to go because you're going to see Giannis post that. You're going to see LeBron post a picture of one of his cards that a rookie LeBron is about to sell for like $1 million. I don't know if you've heard the news on that. Like this is only going up. We saw an MJ card just sell for like $50K in the past week. We saw Mike Trout sell for like $900K. Like some ridiculous deals,
Yep. And that is one thing that I do want to touch on is that the popularity in this market is really only growing. You have these guys that have, I don't know how many followers Gary V has. I've actually done a personal card deal with him for a signed copy of his book. Cool. But he has been pushing this market. I don't know if it's necessarily the best thing, just because the one thing that the card market has always been good for is consistency, meaning if a certain card is selling for 200, no one's going to undercut that 200.
Yeah.
But I think that is the correlation that you made with the sneaker market. I was really big in sneakers from the time I was little up until about 2010. When I got out of sneakers is when it became the cool thing to do. And that's when you started to see prices tank. Prior to 2010, I mean, every sneaker, every Supreme, stuff like that, that is really popular now was going for at least 3 times the ROI that you had to put in. Now you just don't see that. That's when I made the transition into cards, because I noticed that it was an older generation, and it wasn't just an older generation, but it was also people that were very savvy of what the market was doing. So it is something that we are watching very closely now to see how the new blood, if you will, is going to affect the hobby. And I mean, we have seen, I don't know if anyone on here is familiar with StockX. Apparently StockX is teaming up with PSA, which is a grading company now, and they're going to have their own boxes when you send your cards in. So, we are moving toward a more digital era. Back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, you went to card shows, and that's where you bought and you sold. But anymore, everything's online. I do just want to disclose, if anyone does get into this, please make sure when you're buying cards, you're either using eBay. There's a ton of Facebook groups out there. If you're going to use Facebook, make sure you're paying with PayPal goods and services, because there are people that unfortunately scam. They will try and get you to send friends and family, and then if they don't send you the card, your money's gone.
Yeah, good call. That's definitely a disclaimer, because that's that's an awful feeling if you send someone that you trust $300 and
Yes.
and you just get shafted one way or another.
Yes.
Thankfully it hasn't happened to me. I wouldn't put it past anyone. There are some bad actors in any market, in any field. I mean, there's cheaters in the stock market, but I still play the stock market. You just
Right.
gotta be safe, gotta be kind of aware of what you're doing here. So I think what kind of made me the most into this whole sports card market was I don't really know how to say this. It's not the safety of it, but I'm into cryptocurrency obviously, and Bitcoin can get a little crazy with the volatility, and I love that about it. Yeah, exactly. Like it's up and down. It's by the week, by the month, by the year. And there's a whole bunch of factors that go into that. Obviously, this isn't a Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency podcast right now, but with the sports cards, if I buy $1,000 LeBron, even if LeBron, and God forbid, even if LeBron were to pass away in some weird way, the card is not losing value. All I have to do is keep it in a safe place. And the card, worst case scenario, LeBron becomes bad at basketball for 3 straight years. Like, come on. That's what we're betting against.
That won't happen. That won't happen.
Exactly.
And that's one thing that I definitely want people to understand, is that when you're buying what I call safe buys, I'll give you a couple examples of safe buys. Right now, I'm buying a ton of Tiger Woods Upper Deck Golf 2001 base in PSA 10. That card's only going for about $45, and that's Tiger Woods, quote-unquote, rookie. That card is never going to lose value. It's only going to go up. I'm also buying a ton of the 1993 Nike Warner Brothers Michael Jordan set. I think that is one of the safest buys that you can do, because 1, it's vintage. It's 1993. 2, it's Nike. 3, it's Michael Jordan. 4, it's Looney Tunes.
Right. That's a litany of factors right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're bringing in all these different people that collect different things. Another example of cards that I think that are only going to go up. Look, I'm a big Baltimore Ravens fan, but you cannot deny that Ben Roethlisberger will go down as one of the better quarterbacks of our era. So I'm buying the 2004 Topps Chrome Rookie Prospects insert. And like this is the thing that when you get into this market, Ben Roethlisberger Topps Chrome regular rookie is going for over 60, but there's an insert, which is the Rookie Prospects, that's only going for 20, but the PSA 10 version is already going for over 150. So you buy a card for $20, you spend around $15 to grade it, right? So you've got a $35 total investment, and then as soon as that card comes back, as long as it looks good and it's PSA 10, which is really not that hard to get. It's not as hard as people think. That card's going to be worth 150, and you can either sit on it or you can sell it.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I appreciate the honesty with because I know it's hard for a Ravens fan to say that Big Ben is a good quarterback, but
Right.
that must mean that you're being honest. So I do appreciate
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So I guess kind of the next side of this is we're sports fans, and all of our listeners are sports fans, and they love finding an edge, et cetera, all that. So you've definitely wetted everyone's whistle here. But the question that's probably burning right now in their mouth is, where do they begin? Can you give us a couple of I have a couple of key factors that I looked for, but you're the expert here. That's why I want to pick your brain. Obviously there's a whole lot of variables between sets and sports and stuff like that.
Right.
Can you give a listener who, let's say they're an NBA fan and they're an NFL fan, can you give them some quick do's and don'ts, and then they can kind of from there build out their portfolio, ask you and I questions? Because at the end of the day, that consultation with you, like in your Discord or in our Slack channel, that's really where they're going to be able to ask the specific in-depth questions. Is this card a good buy? Is this bad? Blah, blah, blah. So do you have any quick tips there?
Of course. So if you like NBA and you also like NFL, the first thing I would tell you is that NBA right now, through the roof, hottest product of the last 10 years. I've never seen prices just skyrocket like this straight out of the gate. I would tell you, unless you can either go to Walmart or Target and buy some of these products like Prism, which you're not going to find, Optic, which you're not going to find. You might find a little bit of Mosaic left over. You shouldn't be buying, because if you're not getting it for retail, the resale is already too high for me personally. For me personally, to take that risk and either open a box or keep a sealed box, which I'm keeping a lot of my boxes sealed, just because if you would have invested $1,000 in Microsoft when it first came out on the stock market, and you would have invested $1,000 in sealed Fleer 1986, which was Michael Jordan's rookie year, you would have made over 5 times more off of the sealed NBA product from 1986 than you would Microsoft at its price right now.
That's incredible. That's really something to look at. Yeah,
it really is. And I really hope that people that didn't catch that the first time go back and re-listen, because you would have made more off of 1986 sealed Fleer today than you would have buying Microsoft at its initial share offering in 1986, I think, when they came out. I was reading that really struck me. I think that's really big, because it just shows that the market is really only growing. As far as do's and don'ts, what I would say is, first of all, if you're starting out, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't go overboard and invest in Zion. I'm personally not investing in Zion. I don't think that his body's going to hold up. I don't think that he's really going to be the long-term answer. I think that you can find much better value if you're an NBA guy, and guys like Tyler Hero, PJ Washington, De'Aaron Fox is super low. I know that this isn't a really hot pick, but DeAndre Ayton, he was the number 1 pick in the draft for a reason, and his prices are super low, and I think he has a lot of potential if they move his position. I don't think he's a good position where he is with the Suns. The one thing that I would advise you to do is guys whose values are only going to go up. Tom Brady. I'm buying the crap out of Tom Brady PSA 9s right now for under $20. That value's.
Yeah, I'm glad you're going through some of these things that you're buying, and your big wins, because I think that's great. Pretty low IQ plays. If someone's listening, they can just latch onto your expertise and be like, "Oh, he's buying Tom Brady. I'm going to pick up a Tom Brady or two." I think that's really translatable here.
And it doesn't take a lot of capital to get started. I think one of the hottest cards out, one of my big buys, if you see it on eBay, if you see it locally at yard sales and stuff like that, maybe on the next podcast, if you guys have me back, we can get into yard sales, because a lot of my big wins do come from yard sales.
Oh, cool.
But the Tom Brady 2002 Topps Chrome Own the Game is the most underrated set out there. The Own the Game stuff is, one, it's got eye appeal. People don't realize when collectors are buying, we want to look at these cards. We want them to be flashy. We want them to catch our eyes, right? So you can buy the Tom Brady 2002 Topps Chrome Own the Game for under $40. PSA 9, not even the 10, the PSA 9 is going for over $250. Once again, you spend the $40, costs $15 a grade. That's $55 all in. It's already selling for triple that right now, and that's not even holding it. The one thing that I do want to advise people against this is one of my don'ts. You don't want to treat this like day trading. You don't want to treat this like options trading. A lot of this stuff you are going to have to hold. I'm buying now so that when the NFL season comes, my cards are already back and graded and I'm ready to sell once these guys start breaking out. One that I bought a lot of last year, Chris Godwin. That's already gone up 4 times and there hasn't even been a snap played yet because of the Tom Brady factor.
Yeah.
So, these are things that people really need to think about prior to getting into this. Is if you have a great knowledge of any sport, just all it takes is one sport. If you have a great knowledge of one sport, this is for you.
Definitely, yeah. And it's totally important to understand the sets. It's important to understand the year, the print run, the sport itself. I mean, my biggest 3, I kind of go like at a 3-prong attack when I'm looking at a card, is I want to look if there's demand for that card. I want to concentrate on the condition of that card. And then, of course, I want the scarcity of that card. It's simple supply and demand. It's simple
Yes.
Economics at this point. So, for example, I bought 5 Lukas, PSA 9. I think they were
the rookie.
Yeah. So I bought them for $180 each. And to be honest, I don't remember if it was Prism or Optic. My friend John, who's probably listening now, is screaming at me because he helped me buy it. But yeah, so I bought 5 of them for $180 each. List price now on eBay is around like $220. And if like the whole low risk factor is so important to me, because if I were to sell them now, I would make a little bit of money, but hold them for 2 months until the playoffs are over. What do you think? Luka is going to have 2 points a game? Luka is one of the most popular players in the league. This is such a low risk investment for me. And worst case scenario, I get $30 per card because I got a really good deal because I bought 5 of them. So I get a little bit of labor put in on eBay, and then I just make my money back. Go ahead.
Right. Also, the big thing with Luka is the international appeal, right? So now a lot of this market is starting to move overseas. I mean, we've seen that with the Topps Project 2020 when Ben Baller did the Ichiro. A lot of those were sold overseas. Within the past 2 weeks on the top site, traffic from Japan is up over 500%. Right.
That's pretty crazy. Wow.
So now what's happening is a lot of these overseas buyers and these international buyers are getting into this, which is only going to drive the market way up. Even with Panini holds the licensing for NBA and NFL. They are coming out with regional exclusive boxes. So there's going to be certain boxes, there already are, that are only available in Asia, and they contain a special insert card. So now we're going to have so much trading going on from the U.S. to Asia to Europe. So you're getting so many more collectors interested every day.
Right. That makes demand just skyrocket, and that's one of the it's one of the big things that we look for. But dude, I'm so excited for NBA to come back. Hopefully, the MLB will get their crap together, and maybe we'll have an NBA season. Before we wrap up and we plug your social and your Discord, this is why we've connected. This is why I've brought in some of my buddies who like the sports card industry before I did. Can you give a quick background on what are some of the good brands? Because obviously someone who's listening to this is like, yeah, I love Mahomes. I'm sure his cards are really expensive, but that's a card that I would love to buy. So if they're looking to buy a Mahomes, do they want a little Sports Illustrated cardboard cutout card of that, or do they want a Prism, an Optic? What are some of the good brands that these guys should be targeting?
Right. So if we're looking at modern cards, this is kind of the tiers that I go by. Tier 1 to me is Prism. Panini Prism will always be the most collectible card for modern cards right now. I think after that, you've got kind of Optic and Select, both on that tier 2. And then when you get down to tier 3, you're looking at like a product like NBA just came out with, Mosaic. You're looking at Chronicles. You're looking at National Treasures, just because the price doesn't really justify what you're going to get out of it. So I'll buy singles of National Treasures for $5 of Ray Lewis or Ed Reed, but these cards came out of a $2,000 box. So you kind of have to figure out, are you looking to build a personal collection or are you looking to resell? If you're looking to resell, Prism is definitely your best bet for an asset. If you're looking for, just to build a PC that you can put up in your basement, and when people come over, it like looks cool, that's when you want to go with more of like the Chronicles, or the older top stuff,
Right.
or you want to go for just like kind of like not the Prism. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, no, totally, dude. That makes perfect sense. This has all been such valuable information, especially as like a 101, like a starter kit almost. I'm sure we're going to have you back. I know that people are going to love this. So finally now, dude, this is your time to shine. Tell people where they can find you. I follow all your socials. I love your Discord. You've been super helpful answering any questions that I have. Dude, you should see me. I took a couple of notes on some of the things you were saying here already. So tell a listener, where can they find you? And of course, you're going to be back. So there's we don't need to field all those YouTube comments about having you definitely coming back. Don't worry about that. You'll be back on soon, I'm sure. So go
Awesome.
ahead, man. The floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, first, Joe, just thanks so much for having me on. I really enjoyed this. We've been talking for a while. I'm glad that we could finally make it happen. If you want to follow us, you can follow us on Twitter at The Card Kings. You can follow us on Instagram at Card Kings Investments. Our server is called Card Kings Investments on Discord. Pretty much what it is it is a paid server. It's $25 per month. And what that pretty much goes towards is it goes towards free breaks. So breaks are a big thing. People buy to get in, and then they open a box, and certain people get certain teams. You pretty much pay for the teams. What we're doing is we're using all of the membership dues to buy boxes to break for free. So if you want to follow us on any of those, I'm all for questions. My DMs are always open. I'm more than happy. You don't have to be a member of my Discord for me to answer questions for you on social media. And once again, just thanks, Joe, and I look forward to coming back again.
Of course, man. We are very excited about having you on so far, and we're definitely going to have you on again. And the cool part here to wrap up is our Slack channel is only $20 a month, and you get the first month free. Your Discord is super valuable. Plus, you get the opportunity to break, even if with your actual membership dues. So, you can get so much value even just by joining that it practically pays for itself. So thanks again, guys. A reminder, our Slack channel, $20 a month, first month free. Tons of experts giving official plays away in, I don't know, like 1 million sports I think we're up to now. We just had a NASCAR DFS lineup go off with our DFS guy, James Rube, who should be coming out with a NBA episode shortly with me. Very pumped about that. We're 58% and counting. DFS plays, stock market plays, the whole thing. So, guys, thank you so much for listening. We will be back shortly. Tyler, thank you again, my friend. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks again, Joe.